Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to today's program entitled Global HR Strategy and Digital Transformation. Allow me to start by saying that all organizations today think globally and act locally. What do I mean by that? That we operate in a global space where organizations, people, and places are interconnected. This interconnection has been facilitated by improvements in technology, in communication, and in transportation. This connection is meant to create value for individual organizations or group of organizations. We may realize that today, organizations are expanding into the international markets, either to expand their businesses, that is, expand their sales, or obtain resources from the international market. And because of that, HR managers are not only looking at what is available in terms of talent locally, they are also looking at the international market from where they can source their talent. Why so? It is because they want to compete for this top talent in the international market so that they can position themselves in a way that sets them apart from competitors. So this topic, global HR strategy, looks at how organizations develop policies, strategies, systems, and processes to acquire talent from the global market, develop that talent, and also retain that talent. On the digital transformation, we are all aware that most organizations are now use digital tools to transact their businesses. Compared to the traditional manual systems, digital tools have transformed or changed organizations in the way they do their businesses. These digital tools may include cloud computing or dashboards, which organizations use to manage their human resources in an efficient and effective manner. Someone may ask, can public sector organizations operate globally and use digital tools? The answer is yes. That even in government, we interact with other governments and we employ people in our offices, in the international offices, or even locally. So with this global strategy, we are going to look at how HR managers can acquire, utilize, develop, and retain talent for purposes of achieving their strategic objectives. Thirdly, let me say that global HR strategies may apply mainly to organizations, especially private sector organizations that are located in different countries or in different geographical locations. For example, multinational companies operate in many countries, and others are transnational. They operate across different countries with centralized decision-making structures. And others are attempting to be global. But currently, we don't have a purely global company that has centralized systems, that has singular products that are standardized or have the same processes that are operating. The nearest that we have come to global companies are those that are operating in multiple countries, and that is multinationals. And this will come out as we discuss this topic in detail. So having said that, I want us to look at the key themes or topics that we are going to cover this morning. Number one is global workforce planning, where we are thinking about 3 or 4 things when we are doing this planning. Number one is forecasting demand for labor. And this demand, we look at it from a global perspective, that what kind of quality and the numbers of people we are looking for from this global market. Secondly, under global workforce planning, we will be looking at supply. This is the number of people that we are looking for or that are available in this market. Supply is the number of people who are in the market, which we could be looking for. And then lastly is gap analysis, where we are looking at whether we have a surplus or a shortage, and then take necessary steps or formulate necessary strategies. Now that we talk about global HR strategy, formulate strategies to address those gaps. And when we address those gaps, we identify those strategies, implement them, and review. And these are concepts we are going to discuss in the next few minutes. Secondly, we will talk about digital HR and human resource management platforms. As I have indicated a little while ago, organizations have transitioned from manual systems to digital systems. And there are quite a number of examples of digital systems that we are going to look at that will help us, one, to recruit and select staff from the global market, two, utilize staff globally, three, develop staff from a global perspective, and lastly, retain those key talents in a global market. So we are going to look at how digital technologies are going to assist us to acquire, utilize, develop, and retain talent. And then thirdly, we operate today in an AI space. This is a digital tool that we can use to collect, analyze, and interpret data. And this technology mimics human intelligence, hence the concept artificial intelligence. And we are going to see how AI can be used in recruitment and selection to achieve efficiency and effectiveness, or how we can utilize AI in data analytics. And in data analytics, we are going to look at how we can use data to make informed decisions. And then lastly, we will look at the case for digital transformation. 3 areas. One, why are organizations transitioning to digital tools? And 2, how can they use these digital tools to, one, achieve efficiency and effectiveness, two, achieve their corporate strategies, and three, achieve a competitive advantage. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the four key themes that we are going to look at this morning up to about 11 a.m. Before we go to the specific themes, I'll propose that we look at the global HR strategy in general, so that we can look at the specific global workforce planning. This is for purposes of understanding and also giving direction to our topic today or this morning. First of all, I want us to look at the concept of global HR strategy. And as I've indicated in bullet one, is that this is a process of developing common policies, values, and the leadership approaches worldwide. Allow me to explain this in a bit. When you talk of common strategies, these are standard policies that guide HR managers in hiring, utilizing, and developing their staff. We all know that policies are a broad guideline, and these guidelines are used in various functions of HR, like recruitment and selection, training and development, performance management, compensation and reward management, as well as employee relations, and lastly, health and safety. So we all have policies related to those HR functions. From a global perspective, we are talking about developing standard policies that could be applied in any country or location where an organization is operating. And an organization can operate physically in another country or virtually. Physically, in the sense that they open offices in those foreign countries, and that is what you call foreign direct investment. Examples here in Kenya are those that are located in Athi River, which you call EPZs. Foreigners have invested here in Kenya using local resources and exporting products to other countries. So that is an example of organizations operating in Kenya. And if they are operating elsewhere, then they may have a global strategy or a global policy. So in this global policy, they will be using standard guidelines in recruitment, in training, in performance management, and in other areas of HR. And when you talk of values, values relate to those key aspects of an organization that can determine the success or failure of the organization. And usually they are contained in our core values, the important things that we consider to be important for success. So what are these core values that most of organizations may be having? One, integrity. That integrity issues apply not only in Kenya, but elsewhere in the world. Secondly, we talk about professionalism, that we should treat everybody, all our stakeholders, in a professional manner, guided by those professional principles. Another value is quality, that the quality of our products, the quality of our processes, and the quality of our technologies cut across all the locations in which an organization operates. Another value could be customer care. That if we really care about our customers or value our customers, then we should involve them in decision making, engage them in different activities, so that one, they become loyal, two, they give us new ideas and insights on how to improve our businesses. So those are some of the values or aspects we consider to be very important for success. I will repeat some of the values. One, integrity. Two, honesty. Three, professionalism. And four, customer care. And in a global perspective, you are looking at applying all those values in the market that we operate. And then we talk about leadership approaches. We all are aware that leaders play a big role in an organization to ensure it is success. So what are the leadership aspects that we should be looking at from this global perspective? One is the vision and mission that are developed by the leadership of the organization. The mission is the purpose of existence. The vision is the future dream. That through leadership, we might have a dream of operating in international markets or expanding into global markets. A Kenyan organization may want to expand into Sudan, into Somalia, into Europe, into Asia or America, depending on where opportunities are. So it is the leadership of that organization that will create that vision of entering foreign markets so that they can become global leaders in the production of quality goods and services. And again, this depends on the industry or the products that are being sold. Another aspect of leadership is the style of leadership. Today, we talk about modernizing our leadership styles to include laissez-faire, transformational, and disruptive leadership. I will repeat them: transformational, disruptive, and laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is freestyle. Disruptive is a leadership that thinks outside the box and it changes things that were routine and repetitive and becomes more innovative. And the transformative means that they are changing policies, strategies to improve their systems and processes. So such kind of leadership approaches can create success for an organization in terms of, one, inspiring employees to be the best that they can. Two, encouraging innovation. And three, managing change. So when you talk of global strategy, it's about developing common or standard policies, values, and the leadership approaches in all the countries or locations that an organization operates in. Secondly, when you talk of global HR strategy, we are talking about strategic workforce planning. That means projecting into the future the number and the quality of people that are likely to be required to achieve the strategic objectives of an organization. And as I will mention, in strategic workforce planning, we are looking at several scenarios. Scenarios are conditions that are likely to affect or influence HR decisions or activities in the future. For example, today, we are talking about adoption of AI in HR, that is by way of automating HR activities. And therefore, one scenario we are witnessing today is adoption of AI in HR. So at the back of our mind, we are thinking about the effect of adopting AI on talent management. And one of the obvious effects is reduction of employees. Two, more training that will be required in the future so that people can become conversant with the AI, and also automating processes like recruitment and selection. With this in mind, we can project into the future regarding the numbers and the quality of people that we will require. Meaning that with automation using AI, we will require less people and more skilled employees who can use AI. So that is one case where we are forecasting into the future by looking at current trends, either in technology like AI or in legal areas or laws that are changing globally. Now that we are talking about democratizing organizations across the world, that we are moving towards an era where employee participation and involvement is key. So that when we do our workforce planning, we take into consideration how we are going to engage our employees in a more constructive and effective manner. Thirdly, we are talking about global talent management. And there are 4 key aspects that are associated with talent management, either locally or globally. 1, acquiring talent. 2, utilizing talent. 3, developing talent. And 4, retaining talent. Talking of acquiring talent, we identify those people outside our countries with the relevant skills and knowledge and taking steps to attract them to the organization. And this can be done digitally using technological tools such as websites or social media like WhatsApp to attract people to our organization. And then when we have attracted these people, we hire them. We hire top talent from the market. And here we are talking about the global market. After hiring, we utilize these people. We utilize employees by way of assigning them duties and also measuring their performance. We assign duties based on their qualifications and performance. So once we have acquired people, we assign them duties so that they can be productive. That is utilizing them. And when we utilize them, we should be careful that all employees must occupy the right positions, do the right things in the right way at the right time, without which we may not achieve our objectives because people will be occupying wrong jobs and doing the wrong things, excuse me. And after utilizing them, we may realize that they require new skills and new knowledge in order for them to continue performing. And that calls for development. So we train our employees so that we can develop their skills further. We can train them locally or internationally, depending on the need. And then lastly, under global talent management is retention. We retain or keep those high potential employees. And who are these people with high potential? One, those who demonstrate leadership skills. Two, those who are highly experienced. Three, those who are innovative. And four, those who are skilled and knowledgeable. These are the ones that we think of retaining and not any other. So we retain top talent so that one, they can continue performing, and two, we become competitive in our markets. And then another aspect of global HR strategy is standardization of policies, which I've said in bullet one, that we develop standard policies, processes, and systems so that one, we ensure uniformity in our practices across the world. Two, we ensure reliability in the application of these policies. And also we become predictable even in the outcomes that we produce. However, it should be noted that there is no pure global company, and therefore organizations cannot have all standardized policies. Why? Because of differences in culture, differences in legal practices across the globe, and also differences in the kind of workforce that we deal with. And therefore, we may not have pure global standardized policies. But we try to standardize in case of recruitment, in case of performance. But probably in other areas, we may not achieve completely standardized policies. And then talking of cross-cultural leadership development, and this is in line with preparing our employees for international assignments. That for purposes of enabling our employees to function effectively in our foreign offices, we need to prepare them in advance, perhaps before appointment, especially those employees who do not have international experience. So we expose them to different cultural environments and how they are likely to be affected in those environments. So with this cross-cultural training, we develop managers who are ready to occupy positions in those foreign markets. And again, shortly, we will look at how we can appoint these expatriates that we are sending to foreign markets to manage our businesses. Either we use the third country nationals, or we use the host country nationals, or we use the parent country nationals. If we are using parent country nationals, it means that they are not aware of the culture that obtains in a foreign market, and that will call for cross-cultural training or induction. In that way, we prepare our expatriates to perform effectively so that we do not record high failures of expatriates. Because expatriates do fail when they are not aware or they have little cultural knowledge in the environment where they are going to work. And lastly, in global HR strategy, we are likely to achieve a competitive advantage by way of human capital development or acquisition. That organizations that can compete successfully in any market have qualified human resources. And these qualified human resources are those that are skilled, knowledgeable, experienced, and innovative. From a strategic perspective, these skills, knowledge, experience must be rare, must be unique, and must be inimitable. And if we have this kind of human capital, then we can pride ourselves as being competitive in this global market. So that is our brief introduction to global HR market strategy in terms of concept and purpose. Next, the key components of global HR strategy. I've talked about some of them, but it doesn't break a bone to look at them again. One is global talent acquisition. That is attracting skilled professionals from international labor markets. And how do we attract them? We attract them to the jobs, to the organization, and to the work environment. And what is this that can attract people from an international market? One, the job design. How do we design our jobs in a way that can attract them? So the jobs that are attractive are those that give people more exposure, 2, more challenging, 3, more autonomy, and 4, more impact. For those people who are looking for impactful jobs, they will be attracted to those jobs that are well designed. Another aspect that can attract people to an organization is it is compensation and rewards. Much as our reward and the compensation system should be internally equitable, that is fair, they must be externally competitive. That when one looks at the pay you give them from an international market, they are likely to be attracted. And which type of pay can attract a person to an organization? It is one that is above market rate. And above market rate could be plus, because average market rate is 100%, below market rate could be below 90. So if somebody compares what they get in their respective countries, and they look at what you are offering during advertisements, they should be able to be attracted if your payment is above market rate. You cannot attract people if you are an average payer in the market or you pay below the market rate. So to be safe, compensation will be above market rate to attract top talent. Another aspect that can attract people is your brand. That is your reputation, your name. Brands are not built or developed in a day. They take time and effort. Time to develop systems, to develop processes, to develop policies that can attract people. And then effort to ensure that things are done right in a professional way, and that is how you can position yourself in the market. So in global HR strategy, we attract talent to our organizations, and we can attract them through advertisements, either using our website or recruitment agencies, as the case might be. Secondly is leadership development, where we are saying that we need to develop the skills, knowledge, and exposure of our managers to global standards. And how can we do that? One, we take our managers for training outside the country so that they can get that exposure and skills. 2, we can do mentorship. And 3, we can do coaching. where we expose them to different leadership and management skills that have succeeded elsewhere in the world. So for us to develop global leaders, we need to train them, we need to coach them, we need to mentor them. So those coaching, training, and mentorship programs help to sharpen the skills of our current crop of managers so that they can become more functional if we have to consider them for positions elsewhere where we have operations internationally. Thirdly, is international mobility. Mobility is where employees are moving from one country to another by way of global posting. That people can move from Kenya, if you are an organization operating elsewhere in the world, like Europe, specifically Britain, you can send your employees there. If not, you can send your employees in Germany, in US, in Australia. That mobility requires that we prepare them so that they are able to perform effectively in the foreign assignments. So in global strategy, we consider mobility of employees from one location to another around the globe. And we consider those people who have experience in global leadership or who have been exposed to other cultures around the international market. And that is why we consider to hire people who have international experience when we are thinking about hiring people in foreign offices. Otherwise, if we don't get the right people to occupy those positions internationally, then we are setting ourselves for expatriate failure. And then the other aspect is global performance management, and I'll be talking about application of this global strategy in terms of HR functions. Global performance management, where we are establishing standard evaluation systems across the international units where we are operating. These international units, you can call them SBUs, strategic business units. That if you open a branch in Malaysia or in Singapore, that becomes your strategic business unit. That strategic business unit is independent in some way, that they can recruit from the local market. They can develop locally tailored products. They can develop local policies, but they have a link to the mother or the headquarters where they receive instructions from. So strategic business units are those branches that organizations open in foreign markets. And in those business units, we may develop performance management systems, either by way of use of balanced scorecard or by way of using management by objectives or any other model. But again, for purposes of standardization, we may want to use a model like balanced scorecard, where we are measuring performance based on the 4 parameters of the BSC. These 4 parameters are finance, customer, internal processes, and learning and development. So that is a performance management tool or strategic tool for that matter that can help us to manage performance in all the areas where we are operating. And then there's learning and development, which I have already mentioned, that we need to ensure our employees learn on a continuous basis. And for that reason, we must develop a learning culture where we continually equip our employees with new skills and knowledge in tandem with the changes in our environment. What are these changes? Technological changes, economic changes, social changes, political changes, and legal changes. So when there are changes in our environment, our employees need to be aware of those changes. And that awareness can be created through learning and development. And on the understanding that our environment is volatile, that is in a continuous state of change, we should always monitor those changes and train our employees so that they can adapt accordingly. And then lastly is harmonization of compensation and reward systems. There are some organizations that operate here in Kenya, and their salaries, their benefits are determined from the parent country. You may have a company like Barclays Bank, which is British in origin, or Standard Chartered. They have their headquarters out there. The pay structures are determined in consultation with the headquarters, even if they are operating here in Kenya. Why do they need to harmonize? One, to attract top talent so that the organization becomes competitive. Number two, to ensure fairness, that it will be unfair for an employee working in Kenya as a manager earning so little compared to an employee working elsewhere in the world. That will be unfair. So the payment or compensation structure should be such that it promotes fairness. And there are various approaches to ensuring that the pay structures or compensation systems are fair. One, you determine the compensation depending on the exchange rates. Two, determine the compensation on the basis of performance. Three, determine the compensation on the basis of government policy. And four, determine compensation based on the results that are produced by employees. So that some employees working in a country or in other countries don't feel like they are underpaid. If there is such a feeling, then the likelihood of those people exiting is high. And therefore we lose that competitiveness. Because the essence of global HR strategy is to ensure that we are competitive, not only in terms of the quality of people that we have, but also in the compensation structures that we have. Before we take a short break, to allow for questions or comments, we can look at the drivers of global HR strategy. These are the factors that have led organizations to engage in global HR strategy. Why should we engage ourselves in recruiting globally, in training globally, compensating globally, and also planning for our human resources globally? Number one is market expansion. There are two ways in which an organization can expand or more, can expand into the international markets. Number one is through foreign direct investment, where a company is opening an office or a branch in a foreign country. That is a form of expansion. Directly opening an office and employing people there. Number two, an organization can expand through export. That you produce a product locally and then you export it. You export it to an international market. So in those international markets, you may have either your agents or employees selling those products in those markets. Number three is through strategic alliances. And there are two main strategic alliances that can happen, and it has happened in many sectors like the banking industry, and that is mergers and acquisitions. When you merge with a foreign company, you make your presence in that foreign company. That is two companies coming together to form one big company. And I believe you are aware that Stanbic, for example, is a bank which has two origins. One is South Africa and Kenya combined. And there are such kind of mergers that have taken place here in Kenya. And then acquisitions is where a company is buying another one. So you may have a foreign company buying a company in Kenya. So that company is expanding into Kenya and vice versa. So those expansions require that, one, we hire new employees. Two, we train employees so that they can perform in those international markets. Three, we evaluate their performance in those international markets and many other aspects of HR. So when we expand into foreign markets, either by way of exporting labor, exporting products and others, or through strategic alliances like mergers, acquisitions, and collaborations, we engage in international or global HR strategy. Secondly, is technological advancement. As I mentioned in my introduction, our technology has changed over time from the voluminous technologies that we had in the early 1900s to now digital technologies, which are using microchips to store large volumes of data. Through this digital technology, such as internet, organizations are able to expand into foreign markets. So you can sell your products through technology. You can acquire employees through technology. You can also do surveys using this technology. So we can use technologies in many ways, like I have indicated, to facilitate communication, coordination, and management of business across the globe. So technology is an enabler and a facilitator of global HR strategy. Thirdly, is access to global talent. Some organizations have come to the realization that they cannot compete in the international market by using local talent. Why? Because the skills and knowledge of the local talent may not match the skills of those other countries that are advanced. So when we open offices in those foreign markets, we may want to hire people from elsewhere in the world so that we can become competitive in those markets. For instance, you want to construct a road in Burundi and you have a contract there. Because you may not have local talent, you may source your talent from China. So you get a Chinese company with Chinese employees, partner with them, and then do the project. So because of the need to have those global talents, therefore global HR strategy has become necessary, where we are recruiting employees from international markets so that we can remain competitive both locally and internationally. Another factor is international supply chains, that goods and services are produced elsewhere and brought to us for consumption or for resale. And that supply chain involves a number of activities from producers, suppliers, distributors, to the final consumers. And because of that, we may need to integrate vertically so that we cut cost. What is this vertical integration? That instead of outsourcing services or relying on suppliers to give us the required goods and services, we produce them ourselves in the international market. We produce them ourselves. And that means we hire people who can produce these goods and services. And in that case, we need to hire people from those international markets so that they can produce the goods and the services for us, so that we can cut costs in the supply chain. That is a form of vertical integration. In other cases, we can do horizontal integration, where we become the only producers of our product, like what is almost happening in the tile manufacturing and production industry in Kenya. There is one company that is buying almost all tile companies, and soon they may become a monopoly. The other factor is global competition. As I have indicated before, companies that have an international presence need to compete, and not just compete, but compete successfully. Companies cannot compete successfully if they do not have qualified personnel, which is the most important asset of any organization. So you need to hire and post qualified people in those international offices for us to be competitive. Whether you're working for government or you're working for private sector organization or even non-governmental organizations. So global competition requires that we acquire relevant or top skills, top knowledge, top innovation, so that we can compete with other players in the market. But again, as a caution, if you are a small company and you want to compete in the international market, please choose your competitors carefully, because you might burn your fingers competing with multinationals like Coca-Cola, a company that has been around for a century and over. You may not compete successfully, but you can tailor make your products so that you can attract a niche market, and over time you can grow. So niching is a strategy that you can use to enter global markets and compete. And again, if you don't want to compete directly, you can compete indirectly by way of partnership, partnering with other companies so that you can strengthen your position. Like I said earlier, that when you want to enter foreign markets, you can enter directly by way of opening an office or indirectly through collaborations or partnerships. So if you want to compete, you can partner with others so that you can compete. Then lastly is strategic growth opportunities that sometimes, depending on the stage of your product in its life cycle, you may want to move into a foreign market. For example, you are selling textile products here in Kenya. And unfortunately, you may find that the Kenyan market is saturated with producers of textiles. So what you do, you move to another country such as Burundi or Rwanda, where the textile industry is emerging or growing. That is one way of diversifying your risk so that you don't compete in a saturated market. So you find opportunities where the market is at its initial stages or it's at the growth stage. But again, don't move to a market which is mature. Even if it's late maturity or plateau stage or late maturity, that can pose serious problems for you because there are other operators who have been there for long and you might not compete successfully unless you are partnering with them so that you can compete at that high level. But if you are a small company or entering a foreign market, as a new company, choose your markets carefully, especially those that are emerging. An example is Safaricom choosing Ethiopia to enter its market. For example, the telecommunication companies in Ethiopia were not as strong. The coverage was not as wide, and mobile money transfers were almost non-existent. So those are international opportunities that Safaricom took advantage of, and we all hear that they are making a kill in Sudan. Probably they might go elsewhere using their current products, that is M-Pesa and the data. Those are two products that are being used in Ethiopia, and probably soon they may go to a large market where they can sell their products. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the drivers of global HR strategy, and that is what we are discussing this morning. I will now encourage any questions or comments to be made based on what we have said, starting with the concept of global HR. Two components of global HR strategy and three key drivers of global HR strategy. Before we go to our first topic this morning, that is global workforce planning. Any question or a comment to be made, please go ahead before we look at our next part. Any question or comment, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Ondari, for the very good introduction and overview of this particular session on global workforce planning.
Thank you, Julian.
Indeed, I want to mention that once I got to this particular session, I knew that I'm actually on safe hands, and the entire audience is indeed in safe hands.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
My comment, actually, mine is just a comment, not
Go ahead.
a question. When you're talking about global workforce planning, and most particularly when you're looking at it from the point where we are talking about also having competitive advantages, we talked about compensations, and you talked about compensation harmonization. Ideally, it took me to international human resource management.
Correct.
The world is a global village.
Yes.
And when you start talking about the world being a global village, we are also seeing that human resource are also evolving. We evolve to become a strategic resource, meaning that when you are looking for opportunities, we are looking for opportunities both locally and internationally. And when I'm also looking at this particular session, I'm looking at it from a point whereby, as we seek for international and local opportunities, we also want to look for worthwhile opportunities, not just opportunities. And here we talk about multinational corporations, and we also talk about local national corporations. From a multinational corporation perspective, when you talk about compensation harmonization, we look at the environment. How are we going to be able to standardize so that within this global market, how do we standardize HR practices? While we look at the local level, we talk about adaptive strategies or practices of how we can adapt within the local market. That is why when it comes to issues concerning compensation management, you realize that within the local environment, we can only be able to look at what are people doing within the industry sector, or it could be an industry. What are they doing in that particular sector? So that benchmarking initiatives can actually be considered. By and large, I also liked the aspect of when you commented about the use of AI, because one thing we need also to understand and appreciate, even as we talk about global workforce planning, we appreciate the different multi-generations that we have in the workforce. When you talk about millennials, baby boomers, Gen X, how are they adapting to the changes in technology, and most particularly artificial intelligence? We are finding that in terms of adapting to the various HR tools, these digital tools that we're talking about, we look at our readiness. And I liked the essence when you talked about the learning and development strategy. Because in a learning and development strategy, when you embed a learning culture, the learning culture could be there, but what is very important is the philosophy of the organization towards the learning culture. Are we perceiving learning and development initiatives as, number one, a profit center or a cost center? Because when we are involving ourselves in learning and development, we do not want to experience snap results. It is work in progress. But are we willing to commit our resources to support employees holistically to realize their learning development goals, which will also be aligned with organizational strategy? I just wanted to mention on that, and thank you, and I'm looking forward to learning more from you. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Julian. And indeed, you have put it very well, that our A game in this global HR strategy is about, one, developing agile system or systems, and two, competing in this global market, without which we are not likely to be successful, even in the local market. Thank you very much, Julian.
Thank
Anyone
you.
else?
Thank you, Doctor.
Anybody with a comment or a question, please go ahead. Charles Kagui, if you are there, please ask your question. How about Moses Odur? I can see you from here. If you are there, please ask your question or make your comment. And lastly, Mary Mudoni, if you are there. Okay, or any other person, please go ahead and ask your question before we move to the next part. Okay, apparently there is no question. I will now invite us to the first part of our session this morning, and that is global workforce planning. That in global workforce planning, we are formulating strategies in relation to demand and supply for top talent that we are looking for. And this requires that we do some analytics. One, to identify patterns. Two, to identify trends. And on the basis of these patterns and trends, we are able to forecast future requirements and how these requirements can be met. The how part is now the strategy. Organizations can do analytics in terms of, one, the market trends. What is obtaining in other companies, both locally and internationally, in terms of recruitment, in terms of training, in terms of performance management and compensation. So by collecting data about the various functions, we are able to identify those trends and patterns. For example, in recruitment and selection, there are quite a number of analytics that we can talk about. One, time to fill vacant positions. Two, cost of hiring. Three, quality of hire. And four, management satisfaction with the new hires. If these are metrics that we can use to make decisions, then we do benchmarking. How do we compare with other people in the market? So that we identify those best practices that we can implement and sorry, there was an interruption. So when we do a workforce planning, we will look at the number and the quality of people that will be available in the shortest period of time. We are talking about time management in employee sourcing. Today, organizations are now using digital tools like ATS, that is application tracking systems, to shorten the time for hiring. And with the use of dashboards, we can tell how long it takes to hire employees for particular positions. So that as we move forward, we will look at how many people that we will need, even for shortlisting, for interviewing, and for onboarding. Two, in global workforce planning, we are also looking at the numbers that we shall have in future, considering the technologies that we are adopting today, or the economy of our local countries or international markets. For instance, many organizations are moving towards lean structures. By lean structures, I mean they are reducing the number of their employees so that they can become more cost effective and competing in the international market. That you cannot possibly compete if you have a large workforce that consumes most of your revenues or most of your resources. So the move towards lean staffing is now taking root. And probably that is why countries like Kenya are thinking of contract jobs, so that in case we do not need certain functions or jobs, we can easily get rid of them so that we can compete globally. In terms of quality, because we are talking about two things in terms of global workforce planning, the number and the quality. How many people will we need in the future and what quality? I want to echo the words of Julian's, where he said that organizations are now adopting AI as a way of competing and thinking of this multi-generational workforce. There is the Generation X, Generation Y, Millennials, Gen Zs, and soon or already we have Generation Alpha. All these generations can interact with technology differently. And it won't be a surprise that those who cannot adapt to AI may be circulated out of jobs, meaning that the quality of our employees will be shaped by technology, and those people who can adapt are those that are the ones that can survive in this future market. And therefore, we need to acquire the right number of employees and quality, doing the right things in the right way, at the right time, and at the right places. And therefore, we engage in recruitment, in training, in performance management systems, as well as in compensation, so that we acquire, we develop, we retain the right number and the quality of people. Secondly, workforce demand forecasting. Like I've indicated there, this is an estimate of the number and the quality of people that we will need in the future. Number and the quality, demand. So demand can be determined by a number of factors. One, changes in technology. Two, the level of competition in the market. Three, adoption of technology. And four, the environment, such as political, economic, social, and technological. So demand is what we are likely to require. So the question at the back of our mind is, will we require more or less, considering the technological changes or economic changes or legal changes? If an economy is growing, the forecast might be hiring more staff. And if the economy is not growing, it is going to decline. It points to a declining workforce. With the adoption of technology like AI and cloud computing, we will require fewer employees. And therefore our demand will be less than it is today. Then supply analysis is what we have today as part of our staff complement, or what we are likely to have in the future. So this is what is available now or likely to be available in the future. And again, this availability will be determined by competition, by technology, and by mobility of employees, both in and outside the organization. Mobility is about people resigning, voluntarily or people exiting involuntarily. Those are voluntary and involuntary exits. That is mobility. When you compare these two, that is demand and supply, you are likely to identify a gap. And this gap can either be a shortage or a surplus. Where demand is more than supply, you have a shortage or a deficit. And where supply is more than demand, it means that you have a surplus, that is excess. And it's not healthy for organizations to have shortages and excess staff. The ideal situation is where you have optimum or enough. And therefore, the need for workforce planning to ensure that you have the right number, which is enough, doing the right things, which is enough, in the right places, which is enough, at the right time, which is enough. Any shortages or surpluses may make us uncompetitive in the global market. And out of those gaps, you need to formulate strategies. And this is where global HR strategy comes in. Where there is a shortage, which strategy are you going to engage? One is to hire new employees, either from the local or international market. Two is to outsource. Outsource those services to consultants or to other experts who can do them better, especially those functions that we are not core to our organizations. So if we are going to outsource, it's a way of managing the shortages that we have in our organizations. And in areas where there is a surplus, that means you are projecting excess staff. Several strategies. One, you are likely to do right sizing so that all employees occupy the right positions, having the right skills. Right size. Every department, every section must have the right size. Where there are excesses, you redeploy as a way of dealing with surplus. Two, you can lay off. Laying off is temporary, where people are sent off for a period of time in the hope that the finances of the organization will improve. And the last option is retrenchment, where people have to be terminated on account of redundancy. Going back to shortages, and I have alluded to that, where you have a shortage, you can hire locally or hire internationally. When you are hiring internationally, because you are operating in an international market, you are hiring expatriates. So those expatriates should be brought on board, trained, and compensated so that they can also become competitive. So those are the gaps that you identify. And then based on those strategies, you align them with your strategic objectives or mission and vision. For example, you are increasing the number of employees because you project a shortage, that is demand. Is this aligned with your strategic plan? The answer could be yes or no. If it is yes, then your organization is expanding into the international market as part of its long-term strategy. That is market growth. You can grow in terms of number of markets that you are serving, or two, in terms of products. So we are going to serve so many markets. It means that you are likely to have a shortage, and therefore you hire more people. So that strategy of hiring more people is aligned with your long-term strategic plan of market expansion. But again, if you project that you are likely to reduce your operations in those international markets and perhaps focus in the local market, then it means that you are likely to require less people. And again, is this aligned? Yes. If it's aligned, then you can think of reducing your costs by way of retrenching products or closing certain branches elsewhere in the world so that you can focus on the local market. And then lastly is the resource optimization. We have 3 resources at our disposal that we use or utilize. One, the most important resource is human resources. 2 is financial resources. And 3, physical resources. And for us to be competitive in this global market, we must ensure that our resources are optimized. What do we mean? Adequate resources are utilized in a way that is cost effective. Not too much, not too little. If it's too much, we run the risk of wastage. If it's too little, it affects our operations and therefore we cannot function effectively. So when we talk of human resources, we optimize these resources. How do we optimize? Ensuring that people are engaged in terms of workload. And 2, they are engaged in the right roles. That means we allocate the employees the right jobs. Because if there is poor allocation, then there is misalignment between the employees' qualifications and the job, and the result could be poor performance. So resource optimization is key if we want to compete successfully in this foreign market. I want us to move to the next one, and that is components of global workforce planning. And this is one, workforce analytics. Analytics focuses on the functions of HR, which I've already mentioned. 1, recruitment. 2, training. 3, performance management. 4, compensation. And 5, employee relations. And you compare this data globally. What are other organizations doing in terms of hiring? In the spirit of global competition, you may want to hire people from other continents or other countries, if that is the trend. 2, in terms of training, you may want to train your employees so that they can also acquire global skills. Remember that in the global supply chain, we need to understand how this works. Even HR, in terms of qualifications, we may find that there are high quality employees, for example, in Japan. If we can afford them, why not hire them? Because Japan produces the talent that we are looking for. So we look at the global trends in terms of quality and numbers so that we can engage constructively in decision-making with regard to recruitment, to training, to performance management, and other areas so that we can compete. Another component is succession planning. We identify those employees with high potential to occupy future leadership positions. And who are the employees with high potential? 1, skilled. 2, experienced. 3, innovative. And 4, performing. If they exist, then we think of preparing them for future positions. And how do we prepare them? 1, mentorship. 2, training. 3, delegation. And 4, membership of projects or committees. In case we do not have the numbers and the quality of people locally, we look them from elsewhere. And that is why we put our vacant positions out there for competition. We advertise so that people can apply from elsewhere, so that everybody has an equal chance of being hired. So succession planning is about preparing lower employees so that they can occupy senior positions. And this is in line with your human resource plan. Why? Because employees leave organizations either by natural attrition or through what you call involuntary exits. When people leave at higher levels, we need to have a pipeline of employees who will occupy those higher positions. And that is why the need for succession planning, so that one, we have continuity. Business continuity relies heavily on the number and the quality of people available to occupy higher positions. And those of us in the business of business continuity are aware of this fact, that if you don't have adequately prepared employees to succeed others, then you are not likely to succeed, because there will be many gaps and there will be no people performing. And you may not attract people to your organization if they are not moving upwards. Thirdly, is talent mobility, where we are saying that employees can move either vertically or laterally. Vertical through promotion. We identify those potential employees so that they can be promoted. And laterally, we can transfer them to other positions where they occupy, where they qualify, or geographically, where they can be more functional. Talking of mobility, this helps employees to be engaged, especially when it comes to promotion. You can promote people vertically or horizontally. Vertical promotion, you are moving from a lower position to a higher position. Horizontal promotion is where you are adding more autonomy, more responsibility, and more independence. And it comes with additional pay. So the choice is ours. If we want to be competitive in this market, we need to allow for mobility so that people can become more committed, more satisfied, and therefore loyal to the organization and stay for longer. If they stay for longer, then there is organizational stability, which is good for us. Capacity planning relates to 2 or 3 things. One, training employees so that you can build their capacity through acquisition of new skills and knowledge, or through 2, ensuring that the numbers of employees that we have are adequate. Because sometimes we say that we don't have capacity because of the numbers. So we must hire people so that we have the right capacity. And 2, we train people so that we can develop their capacity in terms of skills and knowledge. And that is another way of competing globally and also planning. Scenario planning, this is where we are developing or establishing different situations that may happen in the future. We look at several of these situations, like changes in technology, changes in the economy, changes in politics, changes in social systems, and even changes in laws. So in these scenarios, we are likely to prepare a human resource plan that aligns with these changes. I've talked about a change in technology, for example. And this technology can be AI or any other emerging technology. So in terms of workforce planning, we look at the skills that will be required in case there are new changes or new technologies. Or 2, the numbers that will be required in the face of this new technology. Then lastly is diversity management. even today, our constitution requires that we employ people from different backgrounds so that all regions are represented as a legal requirement or as a compliance issue. But again, if we want to prepare ourselves for international business, to ensure that our workforce represents a diverse but cultural background. We may have an Arab in our workforce if we are operating in the Arab countries. We may have a European, we have an Asian, we have an African. All these diverse backgrounds bring new insights, new ways of working, and also new ways of doing business. So those are some of the components related to global workforce planning. Next, which is very important, now that we are talking about planning in terms of acquiring people who have the right skills and knowledge and acquiring the right number. That brings us to the element of resourcing. Resourcing is acquiring the right number and the quality of people. In international human resource management, which Julian mentioned, these are the many approaches which organizations can use to bring on board the people that they need. Ethnocentric. That means key positions filled by employees from the headquarters. Headquarters is where the country is originating from. For example, a Kenyan company like Safaricom, which has opened a branch in Ethiopia. So they hire people from Kenya, especially those senior positions. Why hire this type of people? One, it is because they understand the background of the organization. Two, they have the organizational memory. Three, they understand the product that the organization is selling. And four, they know the organization's success factors. So by hiring people from the parent country, you position yourself in that foreign market. However, there can be resistance from the host country where the locals of the host say that they should hire our own people. But if those people are not qualified, you are not obligated to hire them. And indeed, most countries have laws that regulate those kinds of employment, that you only bring on board a person whose skills and knowledge are not locally available. Another approach is polycentric, where the host country nationals are managing subsidiaries. For example, Safaricom, again, allow me to use that, having several branches in Rwanda, in Burundi, and in Ethiopia. So what they do is to hire Kenyans to work in those countries or manage those subsidiaries. Another approach is regiocentric, that people from East Africa, for example, are hired to work in the East African region. Anyone can be hired from Tanzania to work in Kenya, from Kenya to work in Tanzania, and vice versa, in Ethiopia and elsewhere. Geocentric, only selected nationalities of a certain region or country are hired, selected. Why do we select? It is because these people are known to work. In Kenya, there has been a complaint, especially in the infrastructure sector, where Chinese companies are hired to construct our roads. So the question is, why Chinese only and not Britons, not Americans? Probably because of the cost. And another reason is because of the skills that these people have. So if you have skilled people from certain countries, you may want to go for them. Another approach is global talent pooling, where you bring employees from the international market, irrespective of their country. So you bring them from Asia, from Europe, from America, Australia, and elsewhere, so that they can come and work for you. And lastly is what you can call a hybrid, which is a combination of multiple of these strategies, either ethnocentric, geocentric, or regiocentric. In these approaches, I've used different terminologies. If you are using an employee from Kenya and the country is Kenyan, you call that parent country national. Parent country national. Two, if you hire a person from Ethiopia to work in Ethiopia, you call that HCN, sorry, host country national. And if you hire somebody from elsewhere, that is third country national. So all these others like polycentric, regiocentric, geocentric, and global are third country nationals. So it is a matter of differentiation that I wanted to bring out. Instead of saying third country, instead I've said polycentric or regiocentric or geocentric and the global poly. What are the factors that influence global resourcing? One is the organizational strategy. Those of us who have a strategic background, that is, they have been trained and qualified in strategic management, perhaps have come across several strategic models like the BCG model. And in the BCG model, you're talking about the stars, the cash cows and others. But the one model that talks about expansion into global markets is the growth model, where a company may grow in terms of businesses, that is in terms of products, or two, in terms of markets. So in your strategic plan, you may want to expand into a foreign market. And that expansion may require you opening offices in other countries, or exporting products in other countries, or partnering with companies in other countries, or having agents in other countries. That is within your strategy, that in the next 5 or 10 years, you want to move into a foreign market by opening a branch. So you will do global sourcing if you intend to expand into that international market. Secondly is cultural considerations, that you want to hire people from third countries who are culturally compatible. For example, you hire a host country national to work in a foreign branch. That host country national understands the culture, and therefore chances of resistance are lower. That is why you need cultural considerations. And if the people you are hiring do not have a cultural fit, then you may need to do cultural training so that you can prepare them for this international assignment. For example, a language as part of culture, you train people to speak a foreign language. Two, dress. You may want these people to dress like the locals where you are going to operate in. Three, food as a cultural aspect. You need to train people so that they can expect or they don't expect certain kind of foods. Food is a cultural aspect. And most importantly, the values and the norms. For example, you are being posted into an Arabic or Muslim country, you must understand the Muslim culture so that you don't violate that culture. And then the other aspect is legal and regulatory requirements. For example, you are hiring somebody from Europe. You need to take into consideration our labor laws in Kenya. There are many labor laws, particularly the Employment Act. What does the Employment Act say with respect to hiring foreigners? You can only hire a foreigner when there are no locally available skills, knowledge, and experience, which means that you cannot hire people from outside to perform low-level jobs such as secretarial, supervisory, or technical skills down there. You need to hire expatriates with higher level skills, like CEOs. And then in terms of cost complications or implications rather, the cost of hiring somebody from outside, the things that you have to consider are many. One, can you afford this? Two, will it be fair for you to pay somebody highly compared to the local employees? And three, are you likely to be competitive? And if you will be competitive, what's the cost of competition? So that becomes another factor when you are doing global sourcing for your employees. And another factor is the availability of local skills, that if you have the right number and the quality of people locally available, please don't bring somebody from outside. One, it can be expensive, and two, it can discourage those people within because they feel ignored and feel unwanted. Exits can be very high under such circumstances where you are bringing people from outside when you have adequately trained and qualified people locally. And then lastly, on the factors is global integration needs, that you want to create standardization across the countries in which you operate, so that one, you achieve uniformity. Uniformity, for example, in terms of gender. So you balance gender. Two, regional balance, people from different regions. And if you pride yourself as an organization with equal opportunities, you give equal opportunities to everybody. That includes local and international employees who have the potential to perform or to do the job that you want them to. What are the global HR planning activities? Remember, we are talking about global workforce planning. One, forecasting. You estimate the number and the quality of people you are likely to require in future and how you will Two, you do a supply analysis, that is the number and the quality of people likely to be available in future. And then you do international recruitment planning, where you develop strategies to attract those qualified candidates. And these strategies include one, advertisements, two, referrals, and three, outsourcing. So if you are going to recruit people from outside, then you must put in place those plans. You need to plan nevertheless, so that you do not have challenges when it comes to filling those vacant positions, especially when you are planning to hire from third country nationals. Number four, another activity in global HR planning is global training. Rather, expatriate and mobility management, expatriates, that there is a movement of people in and outside one country and another by way of transfers or redeployment, that somebody working in the Kenyan market may be transferred to another market somewhere in Asia. And you need to train them. And that is a planning activity by way of preparing expatriates so that they can move across borders. And if there's somebody relocating back home, you need to prepare them, because there is a possibility that somebody who has been in an international assignment may not function effectively when you bring them back home. Why? Because they are used to those international markets and they may not fit into the local markets. Why? Because the culture is different, the economy is different, infrastructure is different. So we need to prepare them for relocation back home. Otherwise, they may feel displaced because of the culture shock. So even if they are Kenyans who have been working maybe in Britain, you need to prepare them for their return, so that if they have their children working out there, they have their spouses out there, or they have investments out there, they are prepared to come home. Without this preparation, we might be killing our employees, and that would be our against our SRC, social responsibility aspects, corporate social responsibility. We need to prepare our returnees so that they can function effectively. Another planning activity is training, where you are preparing people to build their skills and knowledge to perform effectively in the foreign markets. And lastly is a compliance issue, where we talked about the considerations. If I may take us back, you look at the legal and regulatory requirements on bullet 3, and this is where we are saying, what plans do you put in place? Compliance. Ensure that you comply with fair labor practices in the respective countries and the laws applicable. So those are the activities that are involved in global HR planning. And I will want to invite us to ask any question or make any comment related to this topic, and that is global workforce planning. Any comment? Any question?
Good morning, Mwalim.
Or any new idea?
Good morning.
Yes, Charles, go ahead.
Yes,
good morning.
My concern is this issue of AI yes. and human resource management. Now that already it appears as if AI has already developed.
Yes.
How then do we come in as human resource professionals to bring in initiatives or anything that could appear that as HR professionals, we are having an input in the AI or artificial intelligence versus human resources strategy? How can we, how we come in already it appears as if it is has already developed?
Thank you very much, Charles. Your concern is about AI and how HR professionals can bring on board these initiatives to ensure that our employees have adapted or adopted this new technology and that we are able to function effectively.
Thank you, Maria.
I believe that is what you are looking for?
Yes.
Okay. 3 things. One, for you as HR manager, you need to also acquire skills and knowledge in AI, because you cannot tell people to use AI and yet yourself you cannot use. So as a HR manager, you are required to familiarize yourself with AI tools and how they work. And that means that, one, you train yourself how to use AI. But if you cannot do that, please join us on the week of 16th March to learn how you as a HR practitioner can use AI in managing people and other resources in your organization. So I'm inviting you to a training on the 16th of March in Naivasha to learn with us the application of AI in human resource management. That is one. Number two, human resource has become a strategic partner in our organizations. Strategy. That in this partnership, we formulate strategies that are aligned to corporate strategies. And therefore, in our strategy, we also think about how we can make our workforce more efficient and more effective. And one of the ways of doing that is through the adoption of AI. So what do you require as a HR manager to bring on board the concept of AI? You need to make a proposal to your management on the need for AI. A proposal. And this proposal will be supported by analytics, that is data. You can use dashboards to make your case, where you use real-time data to show to the decision makers how AI is going to be a game changer in your organization going forward. So a proposal you will make about the need for having or adopting AI in areas like recruitment, that through AI, you are likely to cut costs. Through AI, you are likely to reduce time to hire. Through AI, you are likely to enhance quality of hires. And this should be supported by data. This data can be obtained by way of conducting a HR survey, particularly on AI, or you can buy that data from organizations that have commercialized data, particularly on AI. And then number three is you train your employees, make deliberate effort to train employees on AI, because AI is the future of organizations, because we have seen what AI can do, what their effects are. So we take an initiative by way of identifying employees who will require AI skills. And virtually everybody in an organization requires AI skills. So you take your employees for AI training. So three proposals. One, train yourself as a HR manager on AI. Two, make proposals to your management on the need for having AI used in various functions. And three, training employees on AI. Charles?
Thank you very much. Thank you for, thank you.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, thank you very much. If there is no question or comment, Christabel, if you are there, and Rangu, if you can make a comment or ask your question? Melka, are you there? Okay. Julia? Julian, that is? All right. If there is no further question or comment, I will move to the next part, and that is the concept of digital HR and human resource management platforms. I have given an introduction there, the concept of digital HR, where we are using technological tools to perform our work. Traditionally, our work was manual, and now we are transforming into digital systems, digital. That means adoption of new technologies that works faster, more cost effectively, and conveniently. And we have enough examples of such kind of digital tools, such as dashboards, AI, database management systems, as well as LMSs. LMS is learning management systems. All these have made our work more efficient, that is in terms of resource utilization, and more effective by way of producing maximum results. So digitization is the way to go. Organizations that have not adopted new technologies are likely to be uncompetitive. Remember, we are talking about global talent or HR management. So you cannot compete globally when other companies have already moved into this technological space. So what are the areas that are covered by digital tools? HR processes, that includes recruitment and training, talent management, and talent management has to do with three things which I mentioned earlier. One, talent acquisition. Two, talent development. And three, talent retention. So how do we use these digital tools in talent management? For example, we can use ATS to hire people. We can use LMS to develop people. We can use all the technologies so that we create a new experience so that we can retain people. We retain people through technological experience, unlike when we use the traditional manual systems. And then it also involves analytics. Analytics is about four things. One, data collection. Two, data analysis. Three, data interpretation. And four, data usage. Data usage means making decisions using data. And we can use these digital tools to collect data. For example, we can use human resource information system to collect, share, and make decisions. Two, we can use DMS, document management systems, to manage our documents and our records. And employee self-service platforms, that today we don't need employees in our offices applying for leave or any other service that we may be offering. They can do it on their own, do it yourself. Self-service, that if there is a leave application, they can do it on their own, that is self-service. If it is performance appraisal, they can do it. If it is setting targets, they can do that. So using these digital platforms, employees can use self-service. What's the foundation of digital tools? It means that it relies on centralized systems. For example, human resource management information systems is a centralized system, or ERP, that is enterprise resource planning, that is a centralized system. So that all the other departments can log into this system and obtain data or information that they require at any time or place. And this is where we are breaking the barriers that we used to have previously, and that is the silo system. Silo is where departments, sections, and even individuals who are working separate or individually, that creating barriers. But today, because of the need for collaboration, the need for teamwork, we need centralized systems such as ERPs so that we don't delay processes. What is the orientation? That is a transformation from the traditional administrative HR function to more strategic. We are transforming, where decisions are based on data. And we can collect data using these digital tools. Who are the users of these digital tools? My answer to Charles was that everybody needs these tools. Whether you are a HR professional, you are a finance manager, you are an operational staff, we hire people because they are able to use these technologies. Even a gate person might need these technologies to handle like computers, to handle mobile systems, and any other technologies that may be available. And then the enablers of this digital technology is having those platforms or systems that will facilitate workflows, analytics, as well as security. I have human resource management systems. I've already mentioned some of them, the core HRM systems. They are the ones that manage employee records, payrolls, benefits, and others in the form of ERPs, enterprise resource plans, and others use HRMS as a core system. Another system is ATS, where we don't need to use manual methods to process applications. So we have digital tools where employees can apply online. We process the applications online by way of screening, and then even interviewing and onboarding using AI. I believe some of us have heard of organizations that interview candidates using AI, that you are told to log in into the system and the AI says, welcome to this organization. I am AI. I will be interviewing you for the next 2 hours, and please answer the questions as you may be asked. And the AI asks you your questions and then scores you so that you don't need a human intervention. Others can do onboarding. AI can do onboarding, where you are given AI videos that show the organization from the gate, the offices, and any other place that you may want to know. And you may interact with people using AI during onboarding. So that's the beauty of digital tools, which we can use in human resource. Learning management system, this is to manage training programs from registration to implementation of the training to evaluation of those trainings. So you can tell the number of trainees, the number of programs, the success rate of those programs, the transfer of learning of those programs, and the completion rate of those programs using this LMS. And then performance management system basically tracks performance. And for those of us who have upgraded, you can also use dashboards. Dashboards can be integrated with performance management system, where you are tracking employee performance in terms of targets, in terms of achievements, in terms of quality of work and others, so that you can also get feedback. Human capital management platforms, including workforce planning, which we said in our first topic. And then lastly, time, attendance, and engagement system. We can use digital systems to track time. How much time does an employee spend in the organization? How much time do we spend in training, in recruitment? Or attendance. What time do people log in by use of digital tools like biometrics? So you can track attendance. What time do people report? What time do people leave? And you can do a metrics to find out attendance rate. That means you take the total of number of people who have attended, or an individual who have attended a particular month. You divide that by the total number of days required. And in terms of rate, you multiply that by 100, you can get attendance rate. Why attendance rate? It's because of the need to establish number of absenteeism. If the people are not attending work, then it means they are absent. And absenteeism affects performance and even the image of the organization. Engagement systems, this is by way of carrying out surveys to find out the level of engagement or satisfaction. And we can use a tool like SurveyMonkey. That is a digital tool, SurveyMonkey, where we conduct surveys on anything in our organization to determine the employee satisfaction levels. It could be survey on recruitment, survey on training, survey on performance, survey on compensation. So we are not limited when it comes to the usage of digital tools. And then we come to the application of these digital tools. As I said, we apply digital tools in all the HR functions, starting with HR planning. As I have indicated, we can do HR forecasting using digital tools by collecting data, analyzing data, interpreting data, and then predicting. So we can use predictive tools to forecast our human resources in terms of staffing levels and qualifications. Secondly, recruitment. I've just mentioned that in recruitment, we can use ATS. If you look at bullet 2 on that screen, application tracking system. So in recruitment, we can use digital tools like ATS to screen, interview, select, and onboard. This reduces time, reduces cost, and increases performance. If you are to assess the performance of a HR function, you look at the effectiveness of its recruitment process. And for performance management, you look at the goals, the targets, and the feedback that you get using a performance management system. Learning and development, I said you use LMS. For compensation, you can use like Microsoft 365, or you can get data from all sources through digital tools. And then lastly is employee relations. You can communicate. You can address issues by use of technology. And people can work from home, that people don't have to come to work for them, come physically to work for them to deliver. So these are the different areas in which we can apply digital tools. And then what is the value of using digital tools in human resources? One, operational efficiency. When you look at the operational efficiency, you are looking at three things. One, time. Two, cost. Three, results. That an efficient operation is one that takes a very short time and produces maximum results such as revenue. And through the use of digital tools, we are able to achieve operational efficiency. Secondly, strategic decision making, where I mentioned at the beginning that we have become strategic managers. And as strategic managers, we rely heavily on data to make decisions. And if the digital tools can avail to us the data that we need, then we become strategic decision makers. And that data is evidence. So we make evidence-based decisions. Enhancing employee experience is what I mentioned earlier, that we make our employees happy, engaged, and empowered when we use digital tools. You can imagine organizations using manual tools, for example, to shortlist. And in this economy, you advertise 10 positions and 1 million people apply. 1 million is exaggeration, but thousands apply. If you are using a manual system, how long will it take you to shortlist 100 people? You will need a whole month or more to shortlist. But if you digitize your recruitment process by use of AI, that can be done in seconds. You only need to create prompts using AI, and you get the number of employees you need to interview and their qualifications. What might be missed is the human element, but nevertheless, that does not prevent us from using AI. Employer branding, when you use digital tools, it enhances your reputation. That is an organization that is technologically advanced, and therefore all the services are delivered digitally, and therefore there's no waiting time. Customers and employees have very little time to wait. So by way of using these digital tools, you are safe. Agility is very important, that we are able to adapt to change. There are many changes that are taking place around us. 1, technological change. 2, structural change. 3, policy changes. 4, system changes, and others. We cannot afford to ignore those changes if we want to compete in this global market. So we must adapt. So one of the ways of adapting to this change is embracing technology so that we can improve our performance rather. And if you remember in your readings, that our environment has become VUCA. V is volatile, 2 is uncertain, C is complex, and A is ambiguous. In this environment, we need to be agile. That is, we are able to adapt to these changes quickly. Otherwise, if we don't change quickly, there's a risk of being overtaken by other players and we lose business. The other aspect is compliance, that through the use of digital tools, it's very easy to comply. How? By way of feeding the legal requirements into our systems and then doing a gap analysis very quickly using AI. And this AI can tell whether your policy is compliant. So you feed that policy into an AI, give it instructions on the compliance issues, and it will give you the gaps where you are not compliant. And then lastly is HR strategic role, that through the use of these digital tools, we become strategic in approach and therefore are able to play our strategic partner role very effectively. What are the considerations for implementing these digital tools? 1, assessment. Assessment in terms of need. What do you need in terms of processes, systems, and technology requirements? So that as you bring on board the new technology, it is satisfying a need that is relevant. Then choose. Choose a technology that is aligned to your corporate strategies. So you select a technology that is likely to help you to achieve your strategic objectives. 3, customization. Do not bring a technology and implement it wholesale. You must customize that technology based on your needs. So if it is recruitment and selection that will satisfy your requirements by way of tweaking it to ensure that you perform your functions effectively. And then another implementation consideration is training. Charles asked how HR managers can position themselves with technology, especially AI. We need to train our employees to prepare them for these new technologies. Train them. And the training should be continuous. And for that reason, we must embrace continuous employee development because our environment is in a continuous state of change. There are new technologies, new systems that people need to learn about. Deployment, this is about implementation. There are many ways of implementing a system. You can implement it directly. You can implement it in a parallel way, that is alongside the whole system, piecemeal in bits, or you can implement it in phases, depending on what works for you. But I will always recommend parallel and pilot implementation. You pilot it first to find out whether it is working, and even if it is working, you parallel that the old and new work together, so that if the new fails, you can also go back. There is a fallback plan, the old one. And then monitoring how the new system is working in terms of usage, quality, and performance. What are the challenges we are likely to face in adopting these new technologies? These are not new to us. The most common one is resistance. People are reluctant to accept new technologies, especially those who cannot adapt or do not have the skills to use the new technologies. And this resistance may result from reluctance, fear, or skepticism. Skepticism are not sure of what will happen. Fear is that they are not sure of the unknown or what will happen to them if they adopt new technologies. And there is always fear of retrenchment, fear of being redundant, or a fear of not functioning effectively with the new technologies. The other challenge is integration. Organizations struggle to align new technologies with their current systems. For example, you may start with the ATS, which is application tracking system, and you have an ERP. Much as ERP can be used to do other things, but it may not be integrated with ATS, or a dashboard, which may not be integrated with human resource information system. So without this alignment, then it becomes a challenge to use these systems, because certain data could be in an ERP and may not be in an ATS, which means that you may have to close the ERP, go to an ATS, extract data, and then go back to our ERP. That is lack of integration. It takes time, and it can be very discouraging. Another aspect is the cost, especially the initial cost of purchasing new technologies, training budgets, and even return on investment. It's not always true that when you implement a new technology, you will get the results. Some technologies are adopted and then they fail almost immediately. That means you will have lost financial resources by investing in those areas. Another one is the skill challenge, which I said includes training, because I said earlier on, consideration. You look at bullet 4, training. And the training becomes a challenge if it is not addressed. Lack of relevant skills in these digital tools becomes a challenge. That's why we need to prepare our employees in advance. And then measurement. Sometimes it's not very easy to measure the outcomes of certain technologies. For example, a technology like AI. You want to use AI in performance management alongside the old system which you had, like an ERP. It might become difficult to say that it is because of AI that performance has improved. But again, if you can specifically identify that, then you are better off. And our second last is AI in talent management. But before we go there, maybe I can ask you to make your comments or ask questions related to this concept of digital HR management systems and platforms. Any questions or comment, please go ahead. Question or comment?
Yes, Malim, I have a comment.
Yes, Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, the organizations as we speak who are now embarking on ERP.
ERP, yes.
Yeah, like I heard in the social in the TV that there are counties that are talking about ERP.
Yes.
Now I'm wondering now that you are saying that now AI is taking over from ERP. Then I wonder this organization could be wasting a lot of money because they're already out of time.
Okay.
I don't know how is your take on that.
Okay. Thank you, Charles.
Yes.
I'm sure all of us have used AI before, and AI is an enhanced tool to make our work better. AI is not a replacement of ERP. It is only an intelligent system which is going to make our ERP systems better. In an ERP, you may have like analytics being done in ERP, analytics on recruitment and selection, on training and development, on performance and others, including tracking leave days and other processes. However, AI comes in the form of a chatbot, that through AI, we can have a conversation with the system. And this system can give us answers without the intervention of a human being. So AI is an enabler, which is going to enhance our other systems like at ATS, like learning management systems, the ones that we mentioned, or these others like core management system like HRMS. So Charles, AI is not replacing ERP, AI is not replacing LMS, but it's an enhancement where we are going to have a learning management system that operates like a human being with intelligence, so that it can give you results just like a human being. The only deficit that it has is that it does not have emotions. It does not have interpersonal skills, and that it does not have empathy. That is the only missing link. But in terms of seeking answers, in terms of strategy, AI is on point. So Charles, AI is not a replacement, but is an enhancement so that we become as intelligent as possible. Charles?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mwalimu.
Asante.
Yes, Mwalimu.
Yes, go ahead.
Mwalimu, I have the same issue with Charles. We recently developed the ERP system.
Yeah.
And now that AI is taking over again, but I understand you very well. So, Mwalimu, I heard you saying you normally offer AI trainings or courses.
Yes.
Kindly, if it is there, will you propose now the date, the cost, and the place of training, if possible?
I would thank you, Ahmed Osman. My answer to Charles was that AI is not replacing ERP, but is going to enhance ERP so that it becomes better by way of injecting intelligent systems into the ERP. So if we embed AI into ERP becomes better. So please don't fear that ERP is going to be replaced. No, but AI is going to enhance the performance of ERP. The second question was on our AI trainings. Yes, we offer training on AI for HR professionals, and we always advertise them through our forums. There are WhatsApp forums through which you receive these trainings. Two, there are emails that we usually send to our members. And three, if you log into our website, that is achrp.org, please go to our calendar and it will show you when we are offering this AI training, and it will show you the cost and the time. Thank you, Ahmed. Anybody else with a question or a comment to make? And fortunately, you have asked the question at the right time where we are talking about AI in talent management. Okay, if there's no question, we will dive into AI. And as I said, we are not new to AI. We are conversant with it. It's the new kid in the block. Whether you are in the corporate, public, or other sector like NGO sector, you cannot run from AI. It is an enabler that can help you to improve your performance, either as an individual or even as an organization, sorry. And even for universities, this is one issue that they have been struggling with, where students plagiarize work and present them as their assignments. There is a way you can go around that, and I'm sure you have mechanisms to address that. The concept of AI basically is about an intelligent system. Just like a human being, it mimics human intelligence. And I'm sure you have had several examples of these types of AIs, which you call thinking AIs. They think like humans. They reason like humans. And as I said, the only difference is that they do not have emotions. For example, DeepSeek is a thinking AI, and it shows you how it reasons when you log into it and prompt it to give you certain responses. The other AI is what we will mostly use is ChatGPT. It can also think just like DeepSeek, and it gives you answers out of that reasoning. Other AIs are like Gemini or Cloudy. And Mohammed, Charles, if you come to our trainings, you will learn about those concepts or those types of AI that can make our work much easier and better. Secondly, you talk about AI in terms of automation, that we can automate recruitment, automate what we call onboarding, automate interviews, automate performance, automate training. For example, in training, you can automate programs where you have AI embedded into your LMS and people logging into that system to train them so that you don't have any person behind the technology to talk to people physically. But AI can train them, can be asked questions, can give answers. Or by use of algorithms, AI is able to identify certain patterns and certain trends that if you click on a certain program, you click on it again, you click on it a third time, there is a pattern. And it's able to bring to you certain programs that are related to what you are interested in, because those clicks show an interest. And that is an algorithm which artificial intelligence can tell you. Other AIs can even listen to your speech. Probably you are talking with your phone on. The next time you open your Facebook page, what comes first on that page is what you are talking about. That is AI listening to your conversations. And it can be done. Data-driven, this is where we analyze data related to recruitment, to training, to performance management. That through AI, we are able to collect, analyze, interpret data, and make decisions. And the other one is enhanced workforce efficiency. Efficiency is about utilization of resources, particularly human resources. That by adopting new technology like artificial intelligence, we automate certain functions and therefore reducing the workload for human resources, reduce the workload. And then the other aspect is improved talent identification, that by using AI tools, including in our websites, when somebody clicks on our website, it can direct people to vacant positions. So you click on an icon on our website, it takes you to our page, and from there, it can take you to vacant positions. And those who are qualified can apply. And that is the work of AI, which can direct potential applicants to vacant positions in organizations. And lastly, strategic transformation. I will talk about digital transformation, how technology has transformed organizations in terms of 1, speed of working, 2, decision making, 3, collaborations, and 4, performance. And through this artificial intelligence, we are able to function effectively as strategic managers. AI in recruitment, we have said that in recruitment we can use ATS, that is automated rather application tracking systems, where screening can be done by AI. AI chatbots, where people can ask questions in a conversation form, just like you can chat using your WhatsApp. So it functions like a WhatsApp. So there is an AI embedded in the system, so you can chat and it gives you data. This AI can seek information or data from all over the system and they give you responses within seconds. So chatbots are used in recruitment, especially when candidates are seeking additional information. Predictive analytics is about forecasting, and this is what we use in human resource forecasting and planning. So when you want to determine demand and supply, you use predictive AI analytics. And again, through AI, we reduce biases, which are very common in manual systems, where you are shortlisting many people and you see a name that is familiar to you, you shortlist that one. But AI doesn't work that way because it does not involve human emotions. So you minimize discrimination. We can also use AI to interview people. Like I said, AI can be embedded into your system and it can interview people on your behalf. But again, the only aspect missing is the emotion. Candidate experience, people interacting with technology can improve the perception of the organization, that this is a digital organization and therefore they could want to work with such an organization. AI in performance, just like I said before, AI can help us to collect data about employee performance. It can also help to personalize learning based on performance indicators, that if a person does not perform over a period of time, it can make suggestions on the training programs that can bridge those performance gaps. Continuous performance feedback, that unlike the traditional way of doing it, that is conducting performance appraisals either quarterly, biannually, or annually, today through AI, performance feedback can be done on a daily basis or in real time. That the moment you post a result, the moment you perform a task and it's complete, it shows on a dashboard that that task is completed, so that you don't have to struggle to rate a person at the end of the year. And this is where the world is going. If you have a human resource information system or you have an ERP, embed AI into them, and it will give you this continuous feedback in real time by use of dashboards. Career path prediction, it can tell in terms of promotions, in terms of the career potential, and the AI can tell us who can fit in which position based on their performance, based on their training, based on their promotions. So it can tell us the careers of people and which positions they are likely to occupy in future. Skill gap analysis, as I indicated earlier, that through training, that is LMS, we can identify skill gaps, or through performance appraisals using this technology, we can identify performance gap. And these performance gaps can be bridged through training. So AI can tell whether somebody needs certain skills and proposes training programs to bridge those gaps. The last one is about employee development and training, which is similar to skill gap. Employee engagement, this is the degree to which employees are committed to the organization, and that is the emotional commitment of employees. And we can do this, as I said earlier, using engagement surveys. For example, Survey Monkey. It can tell us the level to which employees are happy or satisfied with the organization. And in this engagement, you can look at the sentiment, that is the feeling of employees, to turnover prediction, what are the likelihoods of employees leaving? Because engagement has to do with the commitment of employees, and if employees are committed, they are not likely to leave. But if you determine that there are high levels of turnover, this AI system will tell that certain employees have left within this period of time, and therefore using predictive analytics, it can tell you the number of employees that are likely to leave, their sectors or departments, and possibly the kind of skills you are likely to require based on the exits. Personalized employee experience. And again, through AI, we are able to customize certain tasks to suit employee needs. For example, those people who are dealing with data security, we tailor-make programs to acquire skills and knowledge in data security or cyber security. Now that cyber security today has become a very big threat to many organizations. AI-based workforce insights, and again, using AI, we can do analytics in recruitment, in training, in performance, and others, and are able to identify statistical and non-statistical measures. And talking of non-statistical, these are behavioral patterns such as attitudes, such as teamwork, cooperation, and even the way people report to work, that is timeliness. Those are behavioral aspects which can be determined by AI. Automated employee support systems. There are many support systems that we have in our organizations. For example, in performance management, you can query your system using AI if you are stuck, and it can give you an answer or direct you to where you can get an answer. Including counseling. AI systems can counsel employees as a support system. That if you feel low, you can say, today I'm feeling very low. My spirit seems to be flat. Can you advise on what to do? And that system called AI can give you possible answers. And it can even direct those people who have other motives, that I feel like committing suicide. It will not advise you to commit suicide. Instead, it will direct you to where you can get support. For example, you get in touch with professional counselors, and they can give you where you can find them, or talk to somebody near you to help you, but it cannot tell you, please commit suicide. And the organizations can use this as a way of support system, that you can interact with this system so that it can also become a counselor. And again, this depends on the level of training that you have given this AI. Lastly, on that slide is the retention strategies, that through AI, we are able to get insights on what we can do to retain employees. And this can be done through analytics, such as turnover analytics, where employees are leaving. And it can tell us why some employees left. And that can tell us which areas may face high levels of turnover, the reasons for turnover, and we formulate strategies to reduce turnover. These are some of the challenges of AI going forward. Data privacy, and again, as a requirement under the Data Protection Act 2019, all data must be protected. And this privacy relates to personal data such as telephone numbers, marital status, children, salaries, and even health status. We are required to protect this data at all times. What are the ways in which you can protect this? One, having firewalls. Two, training people on data protection. If you cannot train internally, you can invite the Office of Data Protection Commission to come and train your employees on data privacy. Number three, you use aspects like what you call passwords, and then you limit authorization of access. So data privacy is very important. Once our data is out there, it can become a very serious offense under the Data Protection Act, and we know the fines. For an individual, you can be fined 3 million. And for an organization, 5 million, depending on the offense. And if not 5 million, 1% of your total revenue. That can be very expensive in terms of data privacy. So we must ensure that as we use AI, there is a possibility of data breaches. Algorithm biases, we are not saying that AI is foolproof. It has its own biases depending on its training, and it cannot give you certain data because it is biased towards certain areas. It's now for you to ensure that you do a blend of AI and human intervention to avoid those biases. Human collaboration, that's the blend I'm talking about, combine technological and human insights, because technology, because of its algorithms, can be biased. Digital skills development, and this is my answer to Charles, please train your employees so that they can have those digital skills. Ethical AI governance, that is misuse of data, breach of confidentiality and others, that can be addressed through your data protection privacy and the codes of conduct. And lastly, the future workforce transformation. And like Charles said, Ahmed said it, and even Julian said it, the future is AI unless there's a new technology, that we are going to see more adoption of new technology, which is likely to be transformational, transforming the way we do business in terms of recruitment, training, performance management, and others. So that is AI for us. Anybody with a question? I believe Ahmed and Charles, your questions have been answered, that AI is not here to replace other systems that you have, but it's a support system to enhance performance. Any question or comment to be made, please go ahead. Question or comment related to AI in talent management. Good afternoon to you. This is Christabel. Go ahead.
Yes. So first of all, thank you for your time. My question is, I see AI is going to perform a lot of what is HR's work. How do you convince your employer not to replace you? Because apart from it being emotional, the rest of our work, I see that it is performing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Christabel. Yes, AI can be a threat to many people, especially those who are not able to use that AI. But if you can adapt AI very quickly, like we are doing now, then your job should be secured. The question you are asking, Christabel, that AI can perform many HR functions, and the threat here is that it's likely to replace human resource managers or their officers. So how do you therefore position yourself in this AI space so that you are not replaced? One, embrace data analytics. Embrace data analytics. That when you equip yourself with data in all the functions of HR, you are likely to make what we call data-driven decisions, data-driven. That in recruitment, data. Performance management, data. Training, data. AI can give you all the options, but cannot decide for you. It can make recommendations, but it can't decide. So the second aspect, apart from adopting AI or familiarizing yourself with the AI, you need now to sharpen your decision-making skills. Decision-making. That the choices you make based on the AI data you get will carry the day. So in decision-making, use AI data, analyze that data, make informed decisions, and this will be what you will use to argue your case when defending your position as HR manager. And here you are talking about aspects to do with cost, aspects to do with time, and aspects to do with output. If cost, time, and output is what you endeavor to achieve in your HR department, show how the adoption of AI is going to cut cost, cut time, and enhance output. That will be your decision. And this is where strategic decision making is required. And then number 3, how do you survive in this space? It is by ensuring that you become innovative in the way you do your business. That when you recruit, be innovative. When you train, be innovative. When you appraise people, be innovative. And how can you be innovative? You conduct research using AI. So that when you make your recommendations to the management, you are bringing on board innovations on how the human resource component can be managed effectively. So Christabel, 3 things. 1, familiarize yourself with the AI and make sure you use it to your advantage. Number 2, make informed decisions which are strategic in nature. And 3, use AI to be innovative. Thank you. Christabel, if you have a comment, go ahead, or we can address it at a later stage.
Thank you so much. I've gotten what I wanted.
Thank you very much. In case there is any other question, you can ask at the end of the program. Julian, I can see your hand.
Mine is just to give a comment and an addition to what you've actually mentioned. First and foremost, I want to mention that AI has actually revolutionized the future of work. It is also evident that AI has enabled organizations to embrace proactive measures rather than being reactive. And because the future of work is uncertain and unpredictable, data-driven insights become the baseline of any organization. We cannot be in a position to make strategic decisions if we are not data-driven. AI comes in to augment the use of data. And when you start talking about data, we appreciate the use of data analytics, predictive tools that will also help us to effectively manage workforce, that will also help us to improve our e-onboarding experience. We can also see AI helping us in performance management systems, leave management, by and large what you have said, enhancing employee experience. So as we talk about AI, we need to understand that me and you as human resources, us in the space of HR, it is us to work towards equipping, retooling, and reskilling ourselves so that we keep abreast on how we can improve work outcomes and orientations. Performance and productivity cannot thrive when we do not incorporate technology. And use of AI is a technological component whereby we cannot deceive ourselves that now time and again we're using technology. Look at our phones. It has the voice aspect, facial recognition. When you look at time and attendance at the place of work, we're using technology. So we cannot delink ourselves and say that AI is separate and the human aspect is separate. The only thing that AI does not have, it does not have the emotional aspect, which Mwalimu has mentioned. So as we are using AI, we are able to see that AI is helping us to improve organizational efficiency. to improve turnaround times of how we are doing time and in a particular activity. So it gives us a competitive advantage, most particularly when we use AI in a proactive manner rather than a reactive manner. So what are we saying in short? My parting shot will be that it is very important that we embrace AI. It is very important we appreciate that. Even as we talk about AI, let us look at our data. To what extent can our data be integrated to help us be strategic even in our decision-making processes? So AI in itself, from a global HR perspective, it has many benefits, but it's for me and you to take time to learn about the various digital tools and AI technologies and solutions that are upcoming and integrating them within the organization respectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julians. To finish off with that part of AI, allow me to summarize in two ways.
Yes.
One, we are going to survive, as Christabel asked, we are going to survive as HR managers. One, if we embrace critical thinking, which can be encouraged by digital tools like AI. Two, improve our decision-making skills by embracing that AI, and also emotional intelligence by learning through these machines. Two, we have to do a lot of learning, relearning, and unlearning. In the space of AI, we must learn new ways of working. Two, we relearn better ways of working. And three, we unlearn that traditional methods are not going to work going into the future in the space of AI. So critical thinking, decision-making, and emotional intelligence will make us survive. And in this process, we have to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Thank you. Lastly, allow me to take 5 minutes in the interest of time. Digital transformative case. We could have looked at a case study, but I'm going to look at briefly the concept of digital transformation. What is it? It's about adoption of new technologies in the way we do business so that we can improve our operations and our strategies. And this transformation has been in the form of movement from the traditional manual and the intuitive way of working to more data-driven style of working. So with these new technologies, there has been a digital transformation from manual and intuitive systems to more digital and data-driven systems. Secondly, the drivers of digital transformation. Technology is advancing every other day, except in Africa where we don't hear very much, except M-Pesa, the only transformative technology. But other technologies like AI are being developed by outsiders. For us to compete in this global market, we need to innovate. But again, to digitize our systems, we need digital innovations. Even if they are not ours, we can buy them. Global competition, that the global market has become very competitive, especially in the space of technology. For us to survive both locally and internationally, we need to embrace these new technologies such as AI. And again, the future of work, if I may bring that insight to us, the future of work, one, it is networked. Two, it is digitized. And three, it is remote. Networked, remote, and collaborative in nature. With that in mind, we can only compete if we can embrace those digital skills so that we don't spend a lot of money for people to come to our organizations if they can work remotely. Customer expectations. Today, customers have become technologically savvy and there is nothing that we can lie to them about. They know what they want, and therefore they will go for what they want. If we want to survive, we need to establish customer expectation through those surveys so that we know what it is that is new in the market in terms of needs, and the tailor-make product to satisfy those expectations. Operational efficiency, that organizations have realized that there is competitiveness in cost effectiveness, so that we reduce operational costs through these digitization tools. And we also become more time conscious. Like Julian has said, we cannot afford the luxury of time to keep our customers waiting. When talking about time as money, we need to convert that time into money. And we can only do that if we can deliver services within a very short time. That is operational efficiency, and it can only happen if we optimize or leverage digital tools. Data utilization, we have said today we can't run away from data because data is voluminous, the velocity is very high, and even veracity is very high. So big data is all around us. It's now for us to decide how can we use these digital tools to make our decisions better or improve our performance. And then remote working and expansion, which I've said that the future of work is remote. More and more organizations are working remotely. So physical presence in organizations are likely to disappear. And those of us who are skeptical, there is already talk about automating even hospitals and doctors. I am one critical fan of automation, and there is talk in China that you can digitize a whole hospital from the time a patient visits to the time a patient leaves. You are welcomed by a technology, AI. You are asked questions and diagnosed by AI. You are tested by AI. You are treated by AI, or a surgery is performed using AI and you don't see a human being. If that is the future of workplaces, we must be prepared that everything is going to be technological, but that will take long to come. So none of us should be afraid that their jobs will disappear soon. Digital transformation in HR functions. We have automated the recruitment by using digital platforms, learning management systems, cloud computing. We use cloud computing like Gemini or Google Cloud to store our data, and it's secure that way. Unlike the traditional systems like database management system that we used. So with the cloud computing, we are safe. But again, it cannot be 100% safe. There are also risks. Workforce analytics. Again, I will invite you to attend our training programs. Please check our calendar, and I'm sure there will be one very soon on HR data analytics and metrics, so that you can learn with us how you can use these digital tools to analyze data, interpret, and make informed decisions. I've talked about employee experience, that through these digital tools, employees are going to improve their decision making. And the second last, these are digital solutions that have been implemented. They are similar to what I've just mentioned. Core systems, if you remember when I said HR information systems, they are those core systems. Automation, we have automated workflows like recruitment. Data integration, we are using dashboards where different sources of data can be integrated. Self-service, we don't need human intervention to serve employees or even our customers. Analytical dashboards, with the use of modern dashboards, we are able to make decisions and employees can become more effective. Cyber security measures, we need to strengthen our protection systems like use of firewalls and the use of antiviruses and access controls. So digital implementation approaches, I mentioned it before, implemented in phases so that if one phase fails, you stop it and go back to the drawing board. The big bang, that's the direct implementation where you replace the manual or a former system with the new system. This has its own risks, very risky. In case it fails, you have nowhere to turn to. And there has been complaints about SHA and NHIF, big bang. Parallel implementation, the two of them are working together so that if the new system does not work, you have the old one to rely on, however slow it might be. Pilot implementation, where you are testing the system first before you implement it. Hybrid, is a combination of any of those. What are the lessons that we learn from these digital insights as part of our global strategic HRM and digital analytics? One, enhanced decision making. That through digital tools, our decisions are better off than before. Operational efficiencies, we reduce losses, we improve time management, and we reduce cost. Improved employee experience, our employees become more engaged. We make data-driven decisions, especially if we have to play our strategic role. Organizational agility, that means we are able to adapt very quickly to changes in our market. And lastly, we achieve a sustainable competitive advantage by embracing new technologies. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this morning. And I will now invite us to ask the last set of our questions and make comments before we say thank you. The floor is ours. Please go ahead and make your comment and ask your question. Anybody with a comment? Anybody with a question?
Yes,
Charles Kabwe, please. Charles first.
I've raised my hand. My name is Leah.
Okay, Leah, go ahead.
Thank you very much for covering very significant content. You have really put it through.
Yes.
And I believe our minds are now provoked. And sometimes it's really important that sometimes when you come for this kind of learning, we come also with our teams so that they can hear and get convinced that AI is the way to go. It might take a while, so it's not really about how comfortable we can get with our jobs. This should allow provoke us to say, even if AI is coming and we are the ones bringing it anyway to replace us, if you don't actually plan for your retrenchment, for your replacement, for your succession planning, may it be human doing that succession planning. Sometimes we plan AI is going to take this part of my job. We have very many other innovative areas that have not been covered by HR. And we must then enter in areas that enable the business. We must do business through HR. I work for BBC Africa, and we normally say we do business through HR. There's nothing like we are charged for what? It's for business. So there's so much waiting for us. And this administrative, transactional HR should not worry us. We should be able to actually look forward to all that being taken up. Then we go into areas of expertise. We are the ones on the ground. AI is not on the ground. We are the ones who feed this AI in what we see on the ground, and then they help us to just enhance how we make meaningful data, meaningful analytics, and then influence decision. A good example, you can imagine your organization is very busy expanding, and they're actually having, and I'm talking even, for example, a university. They are very busy building physical campuses, whereas it should be. So you see, you can even train the team much more to leverage AI. And you find that even that campus, actually, you don't need it. It is e-campus. So I think with that, let me stop there. But thank you very much for tackling a lot of areas that are very key into making HR meaningful in organizations going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah, for your comment. Yes, it's true that Rome was not built in a day. It takes the hand of time. So those of us in HR, please don't tire. It will take time for everybody to be on board in terms of AI. Keep on working, keep on learning, and the sky is always the limit, as they say. And you said something very important, that we need to move away from the traditional administrative and the transactional way of working to more strategic and the futures thinking way. That we need to talk about the future of HR through the AI lens, and there's a lot that we can learn from one another. I'm sure this is a forum for us all to learn from each other and enhance our skills. Any other question before we close, or comment? Okay.
So, Mr. Ondari, I can make a comment before you end.
Yes, Julian, go ahead and make it brief.
First and foremost, you are a very good facilitator. Thank you for taking us to the session. And secondly, I will encourage the other participants who have never experienced your programs to still take up the sessions and future programs that you still host, so that you can continue learning from the best as a guru that you are. So first and foremost, we really appreciate in this particular session, mine is just a summary, that we appreciated that the future of work is indeed changing, and AI has come at a timely manner to inform value change in our processes and decisions. And therefore, it means what? That as we are also embracing AI, we should also look at ourselves. Are we ready to embrace AI? What are we doing so that we can actually be able to plug in AI so that we can have competitive advantages in our respective organizations? And also at a personal level, the various AI tools which are very critical right now, like for instance, you can see there's the use of vid AI, where you can actually be able to make presentations and videos using vid AI. We're able to do so meaningful things using AI. So what I'll say is that at a personal level, we are all challenged in this particular session, that as we are embracing the future of work, and there is a lot of integration of AI, let us also take time to study and understand AI. Thank you very much, Mr. Ondari.
Thank you, Julian, for those humbling comments about my presentation. Thank you for the summary. I'm really happy, and I'm happy that all of us found time to come and attend this very important lesson. I look forward to seeing you again next month, when we shall have another one at the same time, at the same place. Thank you, everyone. May God bless you and have a good day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ondari. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.